celebrity diplomat who dominated foreign policy under U.S. Presidents Richard Nixon and Gerald Ford, Henry Kissinger first arrived at the White House in 1969. He was National Security Advisor and Secretary of State to Nixon and exerted extraordinary influence on global affairs. Despite Nixon's aggressive anti-communist agenda, he welcomed Kissinger's determination to ease tensions with the Soviet Union. He orchestrated the U.S. historic rapprochement with China. Hoping to shake up the Cold War stalemate, Kissinger secretly reached out to China. His actions ultimately led to the establishment of diplomatic relations with Beijing, a relationship that's borne immeasurable fruit and fundamentally changed the global economic landscape. Almost half a century later, he remained its greatest advocate.
I am confident that the leaders on both sides will come to realize that the future of the world depends on their capacity to analyze together what the challenge is, to work out parallel solutions, and to manage the inevitable difficulties.
He shepherded the U.S.-Soviet arms control talks, the most serious effort to control the Cold War nuclear arms race. In 1972, the superpowers signed the Anti-Ballistic Missile Treaty, imposing limits on their arsenals. After the Watergate scandal brought down Nixon, Kissinger served under Gerald Ford. He served simultaneously as Secretary of State and National Security Advisor. For his efforts in ending the Vietnam War, Kissinger was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 1973. But that was one of the most controversial peace prizes ever. His North Vietnamese counterpart declined to accept the prize, and two members of the Nobel Committee resigned over the selection when questions arose about the U.S. secret bombing campaigns in Southeast Asia. He was criticized heavily for his policy of supporting repressive regimes in Latin America, where he accommodated military dictators in a drive to counter communism, and for his inaction and apparent indifference during the 1971 Pakistani crackdown on now Bangladesh. In his later years, Kissinger's influence didn't diminish. He was a prolific public speaker, advising politicians from both Republicans and Democratic parties and managing a global consulting business. A brilliant statesman for the political right and a villain for much of the left. There is no doubt Henry Kissinger's legacy will echo through the ages.